Okay, let's do a quick run through here. I feel like I've done a run through video like this. I've had a couple requests on past videos for my signal chain, but it's changed quite a bit, and I'm not so sure I described it as effectively as I would have liked the last time I did a walkthrough. Plus, I've done a couple little tweaks. So it looks like a pedal board, but I'm not using this like a pedal board. So if I go this way, you can see the SSL6 over here. So this is the little baby console here is kind of the center of everything now. And then everything on the board is really being used as outboard gear. So if I bring it back here, let's just go through just a quick overview, and then I'll kind of walk through the chain and get everything going. So there's basically three different things going on this board. My core tone, which is compression, EQ, kind of boost. I'm not really using it for gain right now. And then my Nano Cortex, I'm using it, at least for today, I'm using a Marshall JTM capture, which I really love. And then I'm coming out of that mono directly into channel 1 on the SSL6. Which is over here. You're hearing me coming through channel 2, at least my vocals through that. So what I'm doing, the SSL6 has 2 stereo Q sends. So I'm using Q send 1 to come through, and my goodness, I forget which is which. I'm pretty sure Q send 1 comes out of the full back output into the Infinity 2 looper. And the Infinity 2 looper comes all the way down to the Starlight here. And then the Starlight goes to the external input as an effects loop. And then I'm adding that effects loop into the output of the mixer, which is going into the Universal Audio 276 interface into the Prism Live Studio software. And I've got a little post-processing on there. Some finalization. I've got some phase correction. I've also got a room reverb. So I just want it to kind of sound like I'm live in a room when I'm actually going direct. And forgive me, I forget which is which. I believe the external send 1 is the Infinity 2 into the Starlight. The other effects loop is also being sent out of channel 1 here. And that's coming over to, holy cow, I think the Cosmos. So I'm coming out of that into the Cosmos. Cosmos is going into the Zoya, which, because the Zoya is such a powerful and you never know what you're using it for, it's my Ghosts patch, which is a couple automatically randomly recording loopers that are playing back, being sent through the Ghost Verb into a mixer, the panning on which of those are being controlled by LFOs that are tap tempo. So the panning is of the output of the 2 loopers that are coming out of the Ghost Verb are being controlled by LFOs. So panning kind of floats around. There's also there are random speed changes as well as LFOs controlling and a sequencer controlling the speed. Again, all tied into the tap tempo on that. So the Zoya is doing a lot of heavy lifting right now into the microcosm, into the Galaxy, back into the mixer, and then out into the 276. The core tone is this. Today I'm playing my, I know I've kind of got it set up weird, but I'm playing my Extra, which is, it's got like a Cootercaster style pickups in it, shaped like a Telecaster. It's a weirdo custom guitar. I guess that's the easiest way to say it. So to back all the way up to my core tone, before I go into the 2 effects loops, we got the Warm Audio Pedal 76. sounding, very natural sounding, not a lot of pumping and breathing. Okay, EQ. I should also say I added in the Sunface NKT red dot low gain, and we'll add that in. So I'm going from the pedal 76 into the fuzz and then into the EQ. And the reason why I'm doing it this way specifically is I used to have the Chase Bliss Automaton preamp, and I got some of my favorite tones ever out of that thing. So this is kind of emulating the way I would use that. So I would have the fuzz, and then the EQ coming out of that, I would go into a Klon setup really for a boost. So here's the EQ, without EQ, just the compression. Add in the compression, add in the EQ. And I'm using this EQ kind of Pultec style. So I'm boosting and cutting, what is it, 7K at the same time? No, 5K. So I'm boosting and cutting 5K at the same time, and then using the shape of the curve to kind of shape the tone coming out. And it works kind of universally with all my guitars. It's very pleasing. And I haven't turned on the fuzz yet because that's always on. Those two are always on, and the warm audio also right now is always on. Just very clean, very neat sounding. Not necessarily in the mix sound, but for this setting it works nice. And then let's add in the fuzz. Great sustain. Roll it off if I need to. Just cleans up real nice. Does that nice kind of broken sound. Into the Nano Cortex, running the JTM. I don't have any of the effects coming out of there. I'm coming out of it in mono. I originally tried to use this stereo out so I could use the effects in stereo, but using the little console here as a centerpiece and running two effects loops, because each loop is now running effectively in parallel, not in series. So as you'll hear, as I start layering effects, it really adds a lot of complexity. Oops, I'm maxing out here. Hang on a second, I gotta lower something. Hopefully that didn't distort something. It's overloading the interface there, I just noticed. Okay, so let's start having a little fun with the loops. Now, one other thing, I'm going to go into the looper and the Starlight first, because the Starlight dramatically changes the tone. I'm using the studio delay on it, the precision delay. So that's without. You add that stereo in and it warms it up and gives you everything that you want. There's other delays out there that maybe have more features and things, but they don't sound as good. The Starlight's really an amazing delay, so is the Galaxy. Stereo is just implemented so beautifully on them. So let's just do something in A here. So there we go, I got my little rhythmic thing I like to do. I can also cut it into half time, which I'll probably do for this video. Infinity 2 looper is a little limited if you ask me, and like the types of things the MXR clone looper does, which is my other looper I like to use. But it just sounds so good, and it's stereo, which is why I like the Infinity. So I can have that in the stereo loop of this. I don't have to go in mono and then come out in stereo. I can just go into it right out of the stereo Q send off of the SSL6, which is nice. All right, let's see which loop that is. Okay, so that's external 2. So there we go. I can take that out if I want. And let's do that for the moment. Okay, so external 1. So this is where all my fancy, spacey stuff is really starting to happen. So let's start at the end and move forward. So it's Cosmos, Zoya, Microcosm, Galaxy. So the Galaxy. Very subtle. Stereo is implemented on the Galaxy, it really does behave like a tape echo. Just doesn't get in the way at all. And then of course when you add in the, let me turn down the loop here real quick, add in the combination with the Starlight. My little rhythmic thing I like to have, so I just think it's a real nice addition. Let's see here, which one do I want? Okay, that's what I want. Okay, so the Microcosms on Mosaic. Not a lot to say about Mosaic that hasn't already been said. For this kind of guitar, I just don't think there may never be anything better unless Hologram does like a Mosaic pedal, which would be wonderful. And again, you're only listening to the external loop number 1. So right now you're only hearing my core tone, the Galaxy, and the Microcosm. All right, let's add in Ghosts. So we're just gonna have to wait till one of those loopers kicks in. Looks like, there we go, now it's coming in. What I have on these loopers is envelope followers with a VCA hooked up to the output. So when the output from the looper is receiving information from the playback, it fades it in and out, similar to the Microcosmos Mosaic. And again, it's going through a ghost verb, all of which are controlled by various LFOs and such. I want it to react to what I'm playing. I don't need it to repeat what I'm playing. I want it to more or less react to what I'm playing. Which, as you can hear, is kind of what it's doing right now. I'm not actively jamming, so there isn't a lot of information in there, but I'm trying to keep playing here so it'll pick some info up and play it back. Okay, and then the Cosmos, which the more I play it, the more I really start to like this. Now, right now, I have it set on the longest quote-unquote reverb setting it has. So what I do here with it is, and mind you, I don't have the Starlight in here. Just add that in just as a reminder what I got going in the other loop. So really I just have my quote-unquote bass end right now in the background, just create some rhythm for me. And again, that starlight really fills out the sound. Without it, okay, so what I typically do at this end of the loop when I'm doing my little jams is I'll turn the recording on, and then I'll give it some volume swells. I have the feedback set so what it picks up, it just constantly processes through and does its own drifting memory thing or anti-looping thing, whatever you want to call it. So let's throw in some A minor-y sounding notes into this thing so it has some information to play with. Let's turn the right one on. And for those of you that like the spacey stuff, this is where it all starts to happen. And yes, you might hear a little bit of my guitar acoustically through my headphone mic. Live with it. When I get to the jam here, then I'll turn my mic off. All right, so I'll turn the record off. Again, it will not fade away, so it's not just looping, it's morphing as it repeats, and I have drift turned up, so there'll be a little more movement in within the Cosmos, because again, we're coming in and going out of all these in stereo. So Cosmos, Zoya with the Ghost patch, Ghost version 2, by the way, which I have not posted to patch storage yet. If anybody's interested in this and has a Zoya and is on patch storage, I'll put this up at some point. I have the first version of this in there, but it doesn't have sequencing and the ability to change playback speeds, and I can't remember if I had reverse on the original version of Ghost, but I'll get it up there. This is almost dialed in. I haven't really finished it yet. So Cosmos doing what you're hearing into the Zoya, which is picking two different loopers, picking it up at random, playing it back at different speeds at random, playing it back forwards or backwards at random, into the microcosm on the Mosaic, through the Galaxy, quote unquote tape echo, into the SSL 6. Now I'm adding another loop in, which is the Infinity 2, into the Starlight. And here we go, I've got my nice spacey pad I can play over. Now, the nice thing about this is it's not just repeating. As I play over it, the Zoya and the microcosm will still react to what I'm playing. But this, the Cosmos that's processing the information I put into it, is constantly evolving what's in there. So I don't have to, this is easy and quick for me to get in and have a constantly kind of evolving soundscape going on. This is, I sold off almost all my pedals. I think I sold 15, 16 pedals on Reverb over the last week and a half, which is great because I made almost $4,000. But this is real close. There isn't much else I want to do with this setup. This is a pretty nice setup. It's a pretty ridiculous nice setup. So let's just take this spacey thing that we got going on here. I'll mute my mic and do a little jam. So that's the basic layout of, I don't want to call it a pedal board because it looks like a pedal board, but I'm using it like outboard gear in a home studio setting, which for what I do is more relevant than trying to maintain a pedal board that I might play live with. So I'm actually listening to it through some NS5s some Yamaha NS5 powered speakers, again coming out of the SSL6. Now I can, when I want to monitor my recordings, I have the output of the return on the UA276 coming into stereo channel 3 and 4 here, and I have the fader all the way down so you can't hear it. But with the PFL, if I turn PFL on, I can instantly monitor. I'm messing myself up because I've got latency to deal with. But that's it's like a reverse mute, so I can hear that stuff coming back, which works perfect. This SSL6 is amazing. First off, it's great sounding, but secondly, it's very, very versatile. Any 4 pedals you can buy, any 4 pedals wouldn't equal what this can get you. Whether it be the bus compression, the channel compression, the routing options, it's essential if you want to have a little home setup like this. But in any case, all right, let me shut up now. I'm gonna just do a little jam over this. So enjoy. Any other questions, put them in the comments. But it feels like a really simple setup. Maybe it's not. Maybe it is worthy of more questions, but pretty straightforward thing other than using your ear to make it sound good. So let's see what kind of jam I can get going here. So there it is. Like, I've got the cosmos, the Zoya, and the microcosm just working together so perfectly. I mean, I could just listen to it do its thing forever, and I've got the feedback turned off, so it's just slowly processing out the last information that was in there. Just perfect. By the way, there's no huge reverbs on any of this. The only reverbs on here are the Ghost Verb, which, by the way, is actively suppressed by higher input. I have an envelope follower on that with a CV inverter, which means that the more input there is, the more actively it suppresses the tail of the reverb. The microcosm, as you may or may not know, only applies reverb to the micro loops. It does not apply reverb to just the input signals. So my input signals passing through the Zoya and my guitar is only going through the spring reverb in the Galaxy. Obviously, the delay is on there. And then again, I have in the software in the Prism Live Studio, I've only got a room reverb on there, which again, you're hearing, that's not my active room. I mean, you might catch a tiny bit through my microphone, but if you think it sounds like I'm live in a room, hopefully that's a good thing, because that's the Valhalla Supermassive, I think it's called Wide Room. Can't remember which reverb I'm using right now, but it's just a room reverb. So just everything's just working together so perfectly, so much again that I sold off pretty much all my other pedals. There's a few I saved that I'm not going to use in this application, only because most of them are stereo, or are not stereo, they're mono. And there's still plenty of excuses to use mono effects, even though the two separate loops I have are both stereo. So there you go. Again, any questions, just put them in the comments, but I appreciate your time. Everybody have a good one.